The Indo-Pacific has lots of mini clubs and ad hoc drills, but Ely Ratner argues the region now needs a real, written-down commitment, a Pacific Defense Pact, if you will, to credibly deter China. Think of it as moving from a friendly group chat to a formal emergency hotline with rules, roles, and backup on speed dial. So Ratner's core lesson is simple. Informal, to quote, lattice work cooperation has gone too far, but it won't be enough against a rapidly modernizing PLA. Only a collective defense pact, starting with a core four of Australia, Japan, the Philippines, and the U.S., creates the will, the wiring, and the shared obligations that make deterrence stick. First, the threat and why timing matters. So in 2023, CIA Director William Burns revealed that Xi Jinping told the PLA to, quote, be ready by 2027 to evade Taiwan. Even as Beijing still doubts it could pull it off, a doubt Washington should work to preserve. That's Ratner's urgency case for moving from loose networks to a binding pact. Secondly, allies are already rearming and realigning. Japan has pledged to double defense spending to roughly 2% of GDP and to acquire hundreds of Tomahawk cruise missiles, steps that were implausible not too long ago. Australia's 2024 defense strategy says there is, quote, no longer a 10-year window of strategic warning time and is budgeting for record military spending on long-range fires and air and missile defense. And in 2024, the Philippines adopted a watershed strategy to harden its periphery with new aircraft, cyber, and unmanned systems. So public attitudes are shifting too. The share of Australians who see China as a military threat nearly doubled from 2012 to 2022. It now tops over 70%. That's political cover for deeper cooperation. Third, the building blocks for a pact already exist. The United States helped knit a lattice work beyond hub and spokes of AUKUS, which is Australia, the UK, and the US, the Indo-Pacific Quad, which consists of Australia, India, Japan, and the US, and even an emerging Squad with an S that brings together Australia, Japan, the Philippines, and the US to differentiate it between the Quad and the Squad. That one's for regular air, naval, and maritime exercises in the South China Sea. And in August 2023, we saw first ever cross-deployments of Japanese and Australian F-35s. So these are real muscles, but they still lack a backbone. So what would the pact actually do? Ratner proposes the Core Four should formalize mutual obligations amongst themselves, not just with Washington, and build out shared infrastructure and integrated headquarters, like Japan is a leading option, especially after the July 2024 decision to upgrade the U.S. command there, have a common pre-positioned stockpiles, expanded combined exercises, and linked intelligence nodes. For example, the Bilateral Intelligence Analysis Cell at Yokota Air Base to the new U.S.-Philippine Combined Coordination Center near Manila. Crucially, the pact sharpens access, basing, and overflight in a theater defined by vast distances, having assured and flexible U.S. access, agreed in advance by allies, means the right forces in the right places, fast. That clarity involves infrastructure investment and forward deployment that in turn strengthens deterrence. It also recalibrates reciprocity. Today, the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty is limited to territories under the administration of Japan, often leaving ambiguity about Japanese help elsewhere. Ratner argues that allies should commit to support the U.S. in regional crises and in defense of the homeland, unlocking combined plans, complementary spending, and tougher exercises that go beyond today's informalism. Politics won't be tidy. Even if Washington's rhetoric is choppy, defense cooperation has shown continuity. and allies can keep laying the groundwork. At home and abroad, a pact would not add obligations beyond what already exists for U.S. forces. Rather, it would reduce risks to the U.S. homeland and to U.S. troops by making deterrence more credible. Expect Beijing to protest loudly and deploy its familiar mix of disinformation and economic coercion. Allies should be prepared for that. So, Ratner's bottom line is start with the core four, wire in real obligations and real C2, command and control, and make access, intelligence, and stockpiles pact ready. The pieces are on the board. The question is whether leaders will lock them into a structure that keeps the peace in the world's most consequential region. So, Ely Whitney, to get a little bit more about the author, is the principal at the Marathon Initiative, and from 2021 to 2025, he served as Assistant Secretary of Defense for Indo-Pacific Security Affairs in the Biden administration. So basically, this episode was a summary with some stats of his article in this past Foreign Affairs magazine from basically covering July to August 2025. So that in mind, kind of, it's not necessarily saying that this is what I think per se. It's more of this is an idea / interpretation, and I'm interested in getting your guys' kind of your thoughts on it, because just different perspectives on the same information just leads to a better understanding in and of itself. So with that being said, the comment section is always open, and I will see you guys on the next one.